Hey, what is good? What is happening, everybody? It's your boy Primitive AK here. We're here with another video for you guys today. This time, just sitting down and having a nice little chat, talking about the recent news with Activision and Microsoft now being permitted to purchase Activision in the near future. Currently in the US only, so there's a lot to talk about with this new information that has come out. So if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. We got a lot to talk about here, and we'll be covering this as new information develops. So if you guys have not recently seen in the news, you probably may already be aware that Activision has now been approved to be purchased by Microsoft in the state of the United States. This has been this has been a long legal battle and much long legal challenge for Microsoft in getting this approved. There were a lot of challenges in the FTC at the time when this whole thing started. The FTC heavily objected Microsoft's merger with Activision, or buyout. So now, as of today, it has been approved by the courts that they can go ahead and purchase this. Now, for those that are not aware and how this may work with business, this is not 100% set in stone as of yet. As much as many of us would like for it to be, there is still one last legal challenge to deal with, and that is the CMA in Europe. So the UK has to pretty much go ahead and give the okay at this point, but it's gotten to the point now where the Microsoft can quite literally close on this deal next week without the UK's approval, so they can go ahead and get that started as quickly as possible. Now, a lot of people are wondering as to what this may entail in the near future for Activision, and also what it may entail for players as well. So I've seen a lot of misinformation going around, so I figured it'd be best if we just kind of clear this up in a video so you guys know what to expect with this buyout when it actually does go through. So one of the biggest things that we saw that Microsoft was willing to do was actually put Call of Duty on Nintendo. So whether or not this will happen in next year's COD, I would not expect to see this in Call of Duty 2023. However, we could possibly see this in 2024's COD or even 2025. It will take some time for them to be able to develop this on other platforms. So I would personally expect to see this sometime in 2025. That would be one of the biggest things that we can see come out of this. And another thing that we can see is Call of Duty on Game Pass. Now, one thing to clear up is a lot of people are not aware of this or may have just completely forgotten. PlayStation, or Sony should I say, still has full exclusive rights to Call of Duty for Call of Duty 2023. That deal expires in 2024's COD. So this year, don't expect to see any type of changes when this buyout actually does go through for Call of Duty 2023. You really should not expect to see anything like that or in the near future, because when it comes to these types of things, they first have to develop a business model for Activision, and then they have to go ahead and execute that plan. It's a whole process when it comes to purchases as big as these, especially one for Microsoft. And obviously Microsoft's goal is to not necessarily put Sony out of business, as to what one of the articles we may have seen, but to at least keep up with the competition, so we can start to see some of those changes in the coming years. Now, another thing I want to clear up with Activision, with the whole purchase for Activision, is that a lot of people are wondering whether or not we're going to actually see any huge changes to Call of Duty. Are people going to see skill-based matchmaking removed? Are we going to see a reduction in microtransactions? And the truthful fact to any of that is that no, you should not expect to see any drastic changes with Call of Duty's business model. If we do see any type of drastic changes, like I mentioned, we'll be getting Call of Duty on Nintendo. You really should not expect to see any of those changes until 2025 COD at the very, very earliest. Like I mentioned, these types of things take a long time before we actually start seeing big changes, but I certainly think that we'll start to see more creativity from the studios here in the near future, and a couple of other things that a lot of people are concerned about, like workplace abuse, which seems to be an ongoing issue at Activision nowadays. Hopefully that does change with the new leadership. However, when it comes to Call of Duty, one of the biggest things that you won't see change for is unless the leadership at Activision itself changes. A lot of people think that people are going to get dropped left and right, which may be possible. There may be a shakeup in management. However, the current leadership or current executive management over at Activision is likely going to remain the same, which also means that their business model will likely remain the same as well. So don't expect to see anything crazy like reduced prices in bundles or reduced battle pass pricing or reduction in COD point costs or anything crazy like that. That's just completely unrealistic expectations, and I would certainly keep those expectations pretty low as to what may come of this. But at the end of the day, I think we can expect to see a lot of good benefits come out of this for gamers, especially if you're on the Xbox side of things. Microsoft obviously does want to make some money off of this deal, and they certainly intend to do such by reaping the benefits of the Xbox Game Pass. So we can, like I mentioned, we can expect to see Xbox on Game Pass probably in next year's COD, not this year's, but the following years. We could definitely see some benefits out of that. And whether or not Sony will be getting the short end of the stick on this one, well, that's to be determined at this time. But frankly, right now, I kind of see this as a W for gamers. But long term, I could see this creating more exclusivity problems down the line. There's really no way to tell at this current moment in time, but we'll just have to keep an eye on the deal and see exactly where it goes. But like I mentioned, circling back to where we are now with the deal is not 100% set to close as of now. We still have to wait to see what UK is saying with the whole deal, but it's pretty much to the point where UK is going to end up agreeing with the deal and accept the terms that Microsoft has laid out for the buyout. Now, as the timetable as to when this may all take place, we can likely see some full closure on this within the next 2 weeks or so, a month at the longest, pretty much. But it looks like at this point, Microsoft is pretty much given the okay by the courts to go ahead and purchase Activision pretty much whenever they feel so. And I think they are going to try and close on that as early as next week. Now, there was an article that was released recently stating that Microsoft and the CMA have agreed on a small divestiture to address the regulator's concerns. CNBC's David Faber actually reported this earlier today. This pretty much means that the CMA is open to discussion regarding the deal now that the buyout was approved in the United States, but we're unclear as to what these discussions may actually entail. And just kind of put it into full scope with the timetable of this thing, the Call of Duty marketing agreement actually started with Xbox back in 2008. For those that are not aware, Xbox was actually they didn't own COD, but they more or less had the marketing agreements back in the old school CODs in 2008, which started with Modern Warfare 2 and COD 4, those early days, and then it actually switched back to PlayStation in 2015 with Black Ops 3 to kick things off. And in 2023, now Xbox will pretty much own Call of Duty at this point. It's crazy how fast management has changed with Call of Duty over the years, and now it's to the point where now Xbox will have full exclusive rights with Call of Duty, so that's going to be interesting to see exactly what they do with that. At this time, Activision currently has over 15,000 employees. It was 10,000 when Microsoft first announced the deal in 2022 in January. But one of the biggest things that is actually kind of hilarious and also concerning at the same time is the CEO of Activision, Bobby Kotick, is set to make $400 million out of this deal once it closes. So you can see why the CEO wanted this deal to close so badly, because at the end of the day, even if the CEO of Activision gets fired or loses his job or gets replaced or is forced into early retirement, he's getting a $400 million check out of this whole thing. So yes, if I was Kotick, I wouldn't care how much of a terrible human being I am. I'm getting a $400 million payout. You best believe I'm going to want that merger to go through. And just to kind of give you guys a full scope on what Microsoft will actually own once this deal closes, Microsoft will own the following studios: Activision, Activision Shanghai Studio, Treyarch, Beanox, Sledgehammer Games, Demonware, Infinity Ward, High Moon Studios, Raven Studios, Digital Legends Entertainment, Toys for Bob, and Solid State Studios. This means Activision, or Microsoft should I say, I'm sorry, Microsoft will have full control over all of these studios, and this gives them access to a huge catalog of games that they can actually disperse on their own platforms. Whether or not they'll make them exclusive, that's really entirely up to Microsoft, but we can certainly expect to see more content lockdown on the Xbox side of things. But frankly, if you have a PlayStation and a gaming PC, I wouldn't worry too much about exclusivity, because pretty much whatever is on Xbox is always on PC as well. But anyways, guys, just kind of a short discussion on what to expect with the deal when it actually closes, and what to be concerned about in the not too distant future with this merger down the line. But anyways, let me know your thoughts about the deal. Are you excited about the deal? Are you just don't really care about it? Are you happy to see Microsoft finally get a W for once, because man, they definitely needed it? Let me know in the comments box down below. I am curious what you guys have to say. Expect more content down the line, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. It's your boy Primitive AK, signing out. Peace out, fellas. That's crazy. All those riot shields for what?